Greetings, fellow humans. Matt Mark here with another transmission from Metre keyboards, and today we're taking a look at a new Hall effect keyboard from Gamakay. Actually, in the next week or so, I will have several HE keyboards, and I'm working on the 75 tier list video, but I'm going to work on several tier list videos because there's been a lot of comparable keyboards that I've received a lot of questions for, should I get this one? Should I get this one? Should I get this one? So I want to try to answer some questions with tier list videos and just kind of pose head-to-head or as close to apples comparisons with all of the available in the particular format. I think I'm going to do 65% plastic, 65% aluminum. I'm working on a 75% aluminum now. I may do a 75% plastic, but I'm also going to do a Hall effect keyboard because I have a few of them. So I'm going to do a tier list of Hall effect keyboards that I have and kind of, like I said, do an apples to apples comparison as much as possible. Anyway, today we're taking a look at the TK68 HE from Gamakay. Now, Gamakay, if you've been in the hobby for a while, you've definitely heard their name. One of my favorite 65% comes from Gamakay. Well, it goes by many different names, but the 680, the TK68, the one with the knob, the nice colors, it's just one of my favorite 65%. Despite it being steel plate, though, I was able to actually source a, I want to say it was PC plate for one of them and actually built it out, and I still pull it out and use it every once in a while. It is just, it was my first 65% and I think my first keyboard with a knob, if I'm not mistaken. So I have a lot of fondness for Gamakay. They also have a series of 75% keyboards, and I've reviewed their 75% HE. It's the TK75 HE. They also have the TK75 Pro, which is an aluminum keyboard. That one's standard mechanical. But I will be including that one in the HE keyboard roundup because I do have a few. I'm not going to separate them out by plastic or aluminum. I'm just going to kind of put them head to head. Anyway, so today we've got the 65%, 68 key, I'm guessing, from the TK68, 3-mode keyboard from Gamakay. So let's go ahead and open it up and see what we have in the box. So before taking a look at the keyboard, I always like to take a look at what's inside of the box. And here we see that we have a 2.4 dongle. Unfortunately, it does not have the Gamakay logo, but what I do is this. I grab a sheet of, this is, I guess it's sticker paper. I had bought a whole bunch of this for my kids when they were little because they were like, oh, I could make stickers. So we were printing out different things they like and they would cut them out so they could stick them on stuff. I still got a whole box of them. So I use strips of these, and I mean, I think you can buy like a box or a package of 100 sheets of this for like $6-7 on Amazon. But anyway, what I like to do for these that don't have any markings on them, here I will just put Gamakay. And notice that that's where the sticker ends. I'm not really able to write as little as I used to, but I think that should fit. All right, now, looks like I need to take a little off the top. Oh, that's right. That's going to be just for extra security. I like to take a piece of Scotch tape and then put it on top. That way it gives it just a little bit much more adherent, so it's not gonna, I mean, it's less likely to fall off. Obviously, after time it'll probably need to be replaced, but this way I know if I come across it, it goes to one of my Gamakays. I really wish that all manufacturers actually put their logo, their brand on the 2.4s, but I understand. I mean, the thing is, they could silk screen it on there for probably about a penny more, and it could save some headaches, especially for anybody, even if you don't have keyboards, whether it's mice or just different USB dongle devices, because there's a USB dongle for practically everything that could be wireless. Just a quick little tip. in case you have more than one dongle. It's a good idea. Just a simple little fix. All right, so continuing on with the box, we see that we have a user manual and it has all of the shortcut combination keys, and we also have a little bit about the customized key travel. Now that's one thing with Hall effect keyboards, you can set the actuation point and the reset point, whereas on a regular mechanical switch, your actuation is already set by the manufacturer as to where that point is when the two leaves on the inside of the spring touch. But because this is a Hall effect, there are no leaf springs inside of the switch. It is just a magnet. On the PCB, there are magnetic field sensors, so they can sense basically how close or how far away the magnet is, and then set that actuation to happen when you set it in the software. And we'll get into that when we get into the software here in a little bit. In the accessories flap, we also have a standard wire switch and keycap puller, and a USB cable with an elbow, so we probably have the connector on the side for the keyboard. This is one of the nicer ones. I like nylon braided cables, and for some reason they just seem to last longer for me than the rubberized ones, but that could just be anecdotal. And here we are with the Gamakay TK68 HE Hall effect magnetic keyboard. Okay, so we see that we have a pretty okay, there's the connector. So this actually reminds me of another keyboard. It's almost exactly, except the other keyboard's mechanical. So I just remembered, I have a lot of conversations with manufacturers and brands, and they said that they would include, because somebody had asked me about the Phoenix silent switch, which they have on here, and that's what we've got. So this is the first time that I've come across a silent Hall effect switch. Now it's not completely silent, but it's almost there. It is quite quiet. So I don't think you're going to disturb anybody, whether it's in school or an office environment, because, I mean, even though there is some sound, it's not something that I think is going to really escape too far from, you know, your immediate workspace. Now let's check out what we have underneath here. All right, first we'll see these keycaps. It looks like we have some nice clean legends. We have double shot, and I'm almost positive these are PBT. And it looks like these keycaps come measuring in at 1.4 millimeters. Nice. We have the Phoenix silent linear switch. Let's take a look at it inside. We're not going to find much but a magnet, which we can see right there. Like I said, that the detector in the side of the PCB measures the distance based on the strength of the magnetic field. So wing latch switch. All right, so we didn't have much luck with the switch opener. It's kind of tight, so I had to use some tweezers. But here we can go ahead and take a look at the spring. That's a nice, oh, yeah, they're usually fat, so they have the room for the stem with the magnet right there. And then, oh, that's usually like a click bar, but I don't know if that's like a guide. On this, it looks like it could be like a guide inside of the switch. We can see right there, we have the little silicone rubber stoppers that stops the sound on the downstroke, and then we can see here on the edge that stops the noise on the upstroke. And they are greasy, so it feels like they are lubricated, which is quite nice. So they should be nice and smooth, and that's where usually you would see spring leaf, but no spring leaf here. The switch on its own, it's silent and it's not squishy. That's one of the things I don't like about some of the silent switches, that they're squishy. It feels like you're squishing a bug. I mean, that's the way that it feels. This one feels more firm. It doesn't feel like jelly. I don't know if that makes any sense. Now let's check out these stabilizers. If we look, they're actually pretty well attached, so we've got some pretty good tolerances. And it looks like we have lubrication on the inside. And I don't see any lubrication on the elbows. The only other spot that I look for lubrication, or where I lubricate anyway, because those are the points of contact. And for the plate here, I'm going to guess that that's aluminum. Yep. We have an aluminum plate that appears to be tray mounted. I don't think I've come across a gasket mounted HE keyboard yet. Is there a gasket mounted HE keyboard? If there is, let me know down in the comments below, because if there is, I'd really like to take a look at it. All right, so let's go ahead and put you back together. Try to lock these in place. Now, when I do come back to this keyboard, I'm going to show one simple fix where we can make those stabilizers a lot quieter. Basically, it's just going to be putting a strip of medical tape. The one that's a little bit squishy, it's kind of like the same stuff that a lot of Band-Aids, or the better Band-Aids, are made out of. And you just put a strip down below, and that will help to either minimize or completely remove, depending on how much tape you use, the sound of the stabilizer hitting, because that's what that sound is. It's the stabilizer stem hitting the PCB. We'll do that after we've done the stock review on sound test. So we have a pretty standard compressed 65%. We have 4-key navigation cluster. We have the 1U modifiers on the right of the space bar. So a pretty standard 65% layout, though we do have the connector on the side. I know some people prefer it and some people don't. I actually don't mind. So either way, it kind of works for me. But let's go ahead and see what connectivity is like. First, we'll go ahead and do the 2.4. I'm going to go ahead and plug this in and turn it on. Make sure I got it on 2.4. Turn it on. All right. All right, that was instant. 2.4 works great. So next, let's go ahead and try Bluetooth. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put this into the Bluetooth, or put the switch into Bluetooth mode. And then I will take a look here to see what keys are. Q, W, and E are all the Bluetooth ones, so I'm going to switch over. So first slot, I'm going to press and hold to get it into pairing mode. And I think that, oh, yep, it's blinking on the side. So that's the status LED there on the side. Let's go ahead and make sure I can see it here. All right, it looks like it has 5.0, Bluetooth 5.0 connectivity. All right, let's see. And there we are. All right. So Bluetooth connectivity takes a second. The Bluetooth receiver I have on this PC is Realtek, and it's not the best. It takes a little bit for any device at the first connection, and after that, it's fine. What we have here is a decent 65% HE keyboard, aluminum plate, and it's silent. I know there is a dearth, or there aren't that many choices of pre-built silent keyboards, not in a more affordable range anyway. So I like the fact that Gamakay is releasing a keyboard that is Hall of Fame, is silent, is nice looking, sounds and feels okay. I mean, I wish it was gasket mounted, but like I said, I don't think I've come across a gasket mounted HE keyboard as of yet. It's kind of going through the cycles. I'm sure we will see them if they're not out there already and I've just missed it. Oh, I got the Zoom 75 HE is properly gasket mounted, but I haven't looked too much into that. I'll have to see if I can get a review unit of one of those. But we do have a nice, it's a solid hunk of plastic. It doesn't weigh that much. And I mean, it could be modded, but if you're looking for silent, if you're looking for HE, if you want to be able to game in your cubicle without making everybody else around you upset, because I don't think that's going to be a problem with this keyboard. It has an off switch as well as a mode selector switch, which I like that. I prefer that, because most other ones, it's like when you're on USB, it's off, but it's not. Is it? So for what this is, I think Gamakay has definitely brought a decent player into the game. Like I said, I'm going to be comparing all these HE keyboards that I have here in the near future, and then we'll see if one or more than one stands out above the rest. Just the specs. Today we are taking a look at the Gamakay TK68 HE, a silent 65% free mode Hall effect magnetic keyboard. Comes with a north-facing hot swap Hall effect PCB. This one has a choice of either Gamakay silent linear switches or just standard linear HE switches, the Mercury. It is preloaded with double shot PBT cherry keycaps that come measuring in at 1.4 millimeters. The weight of this keyboard is 575 grams, and it is loaded with a 4,000 milliamp hour capacity battery. The chin of this keyboard sits at 22 millimeters, while the back sits at 28.5 millimeters, providing for a default typing angle of 6 degrees. Flipping out the first set of feet will take the back height to 34 millimeters, changing your angle of typing to 10 degrees. Flipping out the final set of fold-out feet will take the back height to 34 millimeters and change your angle of typing to 13 degrees. This keyboard MSRPs for $79.99 on Gamakay at Amazon, though it currently has a $10 off coupon on Amazon.com. Links below. Alright, so for the software for the Gamakay, actually, you can use the software that they use for the majority of their models, which is one of the few companies that actually not only has one software for the majority of their models, they also have a Mac software. But we're downloading the Windows version, and I think I actually already have it installed. So there does seem to be an upgrade firmware, a new version, updated 2024, September 20th. So I'm going to go ahead and download that. So once I extract that folder that has the updated firmware, I'm going to run it anyway, even though Windows says not to. It's just not signed. So I'm going to have this roar the end tool. Now the upgrade button will go cyan or green if it finds the correct keyboard. So as long as the keyboard is connected, you should be fine to go ahead and hit upgrade. The upgrade will take a couple of minutes for it to run. It will show you a status bar as it runs along. I guess it depends on your computer how long it takes to finish, but it really doesn't take that long. Just make sure not to touch the keyboard and not to let power go out on your computer while it does this. Once it's done, it will say done. The bar will go away, and I don't know why it lets you hit the upgrade button again, but there's no need to anymore after that. So you can either go ahead and install the software, but like I said, I've already got it installed, so I just open it up and it immediately recognizes the keyboard. Checking for an app version and firmware version, it shows me that I have the latest one for both. So that's in the About section. So looking at the main, shows me that I have function settings. The highlighted keys are the ones that I cannot change, but the other ones are ones that I can change for the function layer. I can map them to macros, and I can also get configuration for other Gamakay keyboards that this may be the dashboard for, and move configurations between the two, which I think is very handy. Now, because this is an HE keyboard, it does actually offer more configuration options.
than just remapping. And what they call layers is more like profiles on the keyboards. But you have the stroke setting, and you have predefined settings already. The first one being for comfort. Now, one of the options is full quick trigger. That says, when enabled, the quick trigger will only terminate when you completely release the button. When disabled, release the button until the axis triggers the stroke, and then terminate the quick trigger. Okay, so we've got sensitive, we've got game, and we've got custom. A game seems to be set at 0.5 millimeter and reset at 2 millimeter. Now here is where you can actually set up under the DKS binds two selected keys when both keys are pressed at the same time. The last selected technique key prevails. For the TGL, click the button to switch continuous triggering on or off. Pressing and holding the button indication normal triggering behavior. Click on the button you want to trigger to bind to and switch to the key. There are two ways to play. By clicking the button to enable long pressing of the button. There are two ways to play by clicking the buttons. To enable long pressing, the button will continue to be triggered, and to enable continuous sending, the button will continue to be triggered. Now for MT, single button achieves two functionalities. Holding down the button is one, and clicking, press and holding the button will trigger the button continuously while clicking the. Alright, so the clicking does something else, but I can't expand it further than this. So basically, press and hold will be one key, and clicking it will be another. And DKS is where we can actually set up to 4 different actions on one keystroke. Basically, when we hit 0.7 millimeter on a downstroke, and when we hit 3.5 millimeters on the downstroke, and then when we hit 3.5 millimeters on the upstroke, and then 0.7 millimeter on the upstroke. So you can literally bind one key press to 4 different actions. And it looks like you can do 4 keys. So that's a pretty interesting feature. Now, under other settings, we can set the time off on 2.4 or on Bluetooth. Basically, this is when the lights go off so that you can save battery time. It doesn't have a way to keep them on indefinitely, though they'll probably stay on indefinitely if you haven't plugged in the USB. Now, to calibrate this keyboard, it's like other Hall Effect keyboards. You put it into calibration, and then you press every key in a sequence. So escape all the way down to delete, down to page up, and then across all the way to tab, down to caps lock, across all the way to page down, and so on. And once you've done all of that, then you can go ahead and hit confirm, and then your keyboard will be calibrated. That means that if you change switches or if you've just used them a lot, it's just a good idea to keep them calibrated, obviously depending on your use. Now again, for the function layers, you have the ability to change the functionality of the keys that are grayed out. Now you also have macros, because it also shares the same settings as other keyboards. You can actually share macros across keyboards as well as light effects. You can select different light effects. In this case, I selected the sine wave. And then you can also do per key RGB. You can save that to a layer, and you can load the layer. And you can actually see I created a couple right here. Now, if you want to share them, you can go to the account and actually download ones that are available. But if you want to share the ones you've created, you've got to create an account. And as we can see in the About screen, as we saw before, we can actually configure it by selecting a background picture and or color. So we have a fully featured HE keyboard, 65% in a classic layout, plastic, aluminum plate, RGB, nice keycaps. Sounds pretty good for what it is. And the software seems to be pretty complete. And now I know that I've had a few people tell me that they've got the TK68 HE and they really like it, and that the software is pretty good. So as I'm still trying to become more of a gamer and understand more of these settings, like I said, I'm going to learn as much as I can so that for the tier list video, I can do as much of an apples to apples comparison as possible. So we have a pretty standard 65% layout. We have the connector on the side. We have Hall effect with a lot of things that can be tweaked and controlled. I think the Gamakay suite is pretty complete. I would like to test it up against some of the bigger names, but from the screenshots I've seen, it looks like they have the same technologies, they just have different names for it. So, and this one with the recent firmware update does add SOCD. I believe that's what it's called, SOCD. So I'm going to go ahead and leave you guys with a stock sound test, the Gamakay TK68 HE. Oh, and before it was the LK67. I don't know why I couldn't remember the name. That's the Gamakay that I know myself and probably many others have fallen in love with as one of their first knob 65%. It was the LK67. I was thinking 8680 or something like that. But anyway, Gamakay has been bringing us some solid keyboards for quite a few years. They do have a great support team that actually is responsive, and they stand behind their products, which is something that unfortunately there's a few brands that just don't. So I do my best to highlight the brands that do, as well as the ones that don't, so you guys are aware of what's going on out here in the industry. Anyway, I'm going to leave you guys with a stock sound test of this keyboard. I do hope that you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions for when I come back to this keyboard to open it up and mod it, please let me know down in the comments below. But for right now, I want to wish everybody out there in YouTube land a wonderful rest of your day. And until the next transmission, keep calm and keyboard on.